Hello, and welcome to today's episode of our Southwestern Food Series show. I am Don Seymour, AARP volunteer for the AARP Arizona State Office. AARP is focused on the topic of reclaiming your health as the nation emerges from more than a year under the COVID-19 pandemic. You can go to aarp.org/healthyliving for tips, tools, and resources that can help you reclaim your health. Today, put on your aprons and join Tucson's food heroes, live from the comfort of your own kitchen. AARP Arizona, Southern Arizona Arts and Cultural Alliance, and Slow Food Southern Arizona are proud to present a 4-part virtual culinary class. You can view all episodes at the AARP Arizona YouTube channel and see upcoming events at the AARP Virtual Community Center. Today, Chef Barry Infuso teaches 3 simple and delicious table salsas to accompany any meal. These salsas work especially well to go with the jackfruit carnitas made in the first episode of this series. Chef Barry will show you how to make a smoky roasted salsa, a fruit salsa, and a chimichurri. Sounds good to me. Let's get started.
So today we're doing a smoked or cooked tomato salsa. Salsas are table sauces. You can use them any which way you like. You can do them raw, you can do them smoked. I'm going to be doing them with a smoky flavor. I have here some tomatoes that I've pre-washed and cleaned. So I'm using big tomatoes, these Romas. I also have some garlic, so I'm going to be using those. And what I want to do is just give them a little hit, take off the outer skin, and then put them on the griddle. You can use a cast iron pot. You could do it in your oven if you like. There's a lot of places to do that. Those are the flying garlic. That is not to be confused with the flying Walindas. But here is a fabulous recipe. You're going to love this. Okay, there goes 1 clove and 2 cloves. And then let's see, we want to put some chili peppers. I'm going to use the habanero. You could use any type that you like, but I'm going to use the habanero for this. And we'll see how that works for us. So what you want to do is to get like a nice little color on the tomatoes themselves. It just gives it an inherent smokiness to it, which is very, very nice. You can see that they're starting to turn a tan color. They don't have to be black, but it just gives you an opportunity to look at that. You could also use some onion in this as well. I'm using the bulb onions for this. You can see these at many markets these days. You can certainly find them in a lot of like Hispanic stores as well. I'm going to start this off by cutting off the edge on the end, and then probably open this up a little bit here too. And I think I'm going to add these tops as well. I think that'll make an interesting addition to this. And we're going to put this all into a food mixer or a Cuisinart at the end. That's going to be important. The only thing I won't add will be the onions, because the onions tend to render a lot of water, and you're going to have a lot of water anyhow with the tomatoes. And I would give this about 5 minutes. While we are waiting for the tomatoes to roast and the peppers and garlic, what we're going to do now is put the ingredients together for our fruit salsa. Fruit salsa has wonderful applications. Think about it for like pork. You can think about it for fish, even beef, anything you like, or just on a hot summer's day, which we get a lot of them here in Tucson. Just be sure to have some of this chilled. It's very, very nice. Now what I've done is I've already started with dicing up some fruit. So in here I've just put some cantaloupe, honeydew, and then some watermelon in there. So the next thing I'm going to be adding is a mango. So what we're doing with that is the mango. I'm going to be cutting this. And mangoes are kind of an interesting fruit to get. As you can see, has a beautiful color to it. And there's 3 parts of it when you cut. You have 2 what we'll call the cheeks and one center. The cheek itself is very nice, but to get the flesh out, the best thing to do is just cut this on a diagonal. Decide how thick you want it. And you may notice I'm using a serrated knife. I like to do that when I'm cutting a lot of items, just because it's easier, it maintains that edge a lot easier. A lot of people have their knives and they're pretty dull. So what you want to do is to open them up. And you can see what I've done here is that I've opened them up into little strips. Then I'm doing them in the opposite way. And you just decide how thick you want them. And that's it. And then we just turn them over like so, and then they're open. This is referred to as the hedgehog. I guess you can see why, but it's very, very easy cut. And then what you want to do is just take these off of here. And you just see how succulent that is. And that adds in a terrific additional flavor to our fruit salsa. And I'm just going to use half, just depending on how much you're using and how much you need. But this would work very nice with the carnitas. So I'm going to just scrape that off, add these pieces into this fruit salsa here, toss that up. Okay, I'm going to put these two away, and then I'm next going to add the pineapple. Pineapple, I think, adds a wonderful flavor to a lot of items. But again, you're going to have this other side to do, and then you can cut around the edge of this and then remove the skin, and then go right into getting the additional fruit on there. You just don't want to waste that. Beautiful pineapple. Here we see the head. All you want to do is to twist this off. It's not as hard as it sounds. There it is. Then we're going to cut into here. Get rid of that, the center part. Again, I'm using a serrated knife on here. Cutting that through. Okay. And then what I want to do here is just to cut into each of the sections. So you can see that each one is like a little segment, right? And you pull out the segments that you want. This is something that I use at home and just keep it on the counter. It's a very nice treat, having fresh pineapple available. And then I can just cut a piece as I need it. And I find this is very helpful for the salsa as well. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just cutting away each of those little segments. Pulling out the pineapple itself. And then you cut that pineapple, again, to bite-sized pieces. You put this together, add this to the fruit salsa. So now you have pineapple, mango, cantaloupe, honeydew, and watermelon. Again, fabulous, fabulous tasting salsa for your dish. And our third sauce that we're doing today is chimichurri. This is absolutely delicious chimichurri. If you've never had this, this is a item that I'm told is on the condiment table in stores and restaurants all over Argentina. But it's simple and it's delicious. And it's ideal for meats, but I find it for any sort of a use is good. So we're just going to use this, take off some of the parsley. You could use flat leaf or the curly, doesn't matter. And then also we have the cilantro. And cilantro adds an additional flavor to this as well, which is nice. You can use the stems in there as well if you like. What we're going to do now is to chop, and all we need to do with this is to rest our knife here. Do not take your hands off the knife when you're doing this. What you're doing is rocking this back and forth. By keeping your hands affixed to the knife at all times, you're assured never to have any extra protein in the vegetable matter. Now with this, you're going to be adding some other ingredients. You're going to be adding some red wine vinegar, some garlic, some peppers, like if you like some chili pepper. If not, that's fine too. You just have to decide what the taste is. As I said before, this is not written in stone. It is on a piece of paper. You'll have the recipes. You can add whatever you like to it. And then we're also going to be adding some shallot to this. Shallot gives it a nice additional mild flavor. This we can add right to the bowl. And then we're going to be adding a shallot. So here, again, we're going to cut off the edge of the shallot. I like to cut it in half, so I'm working with a flat surface. And it's important as you're doing this to move your fingers back. Do not move them forward at any cost. So I want these a little finer. Again, using my both hands on the knife blade, I'm chopping. We'll do the same thing here. And once again, adding this to our mixture. Now we're going to be adding some olive oil and some red wine vinegar. This is about 1/2 of a cup. This is a little less than that of the olive oil. And about 1/4 cup of the red wine vinegar. Feel free to use balsamic if you like, that's perfectly fine too. You can add some pepper. We could, again, you could use any kind of a pepper that we like, a habanero, a serrano. You can decide whether you want to leave the whether you want to leave the seeds on the inside and the membrane. That is entirely up to you, depending on what your heat preference is. But everyone's a little different, so a lot of times it's easier just to leave it out and have someone add the heat later. But I'll probably just use about 1/2 of this right now for this particular recipe. Now what I like to do is to again, take the skin off of the garlic, crush that, remove the skin. Then with that, I'm going to add some salt. I have kosher salt, again, larger crystal. And I'll put that, about a teaspoon of that right on the cutting board. This way when I cut, it gives me the grit and some friction. And you can hear that cutting. And again, what this is doing is allowing me to get it into nice small pieces so no one gets a big piece of garlic in their mouth. So we have a nice fine dice on our garlic. We're going to add that into our chimichurri. And then also I'm going to add part of the chili pepper in there. And mix that up. Okay, so now our tomatoes and peppers are all ready. I'm going to move those over to the cutting board. And we have our peppers and our white onion. Now in doing this, a couple of things you want to do is to start cutting the tomatoes just so that they're broken down a little bit. You can remove the skins, certainly if you would like a nice appearance that it's going to appear in the bowl. I myself like the smokiness and that flavor of the smoke in the tomato, but it's entirely up to you. Well, now we're ready for our tomato salsa. Again, this is a smoked tomato salsa. What I've done is I've kept the skins on. If you prefer, take them off, that's fine. This will render quite a bit of water. I have a couple of techniques for that as well, how to make it easy. I'm also now adding the garlic. And the pepper. I am going to take the stem off of that. So if you are using a traditional onion that you see, a yellow onion or the white onions are very nice because they're sweet. You can use those, but again, only put them in afterwards. Don't put them in at this point just because there's going to be so much water in there anyhow with the tomato. Okay, I still have some chunks in there. Add the rest of the garlic. And that is done, but I want to add some more flavor, and I have some cilantro. And again, this is just a taste. You decide how much you want of that. But it has a nice flavor. You could add some oil, olive oil. You could add some spices. You could add some dried peppers, anything you like. Again, your recipe. I'm going to now drain this out of here to get excess liquid out of it. And then this can go right into our bowl for our smoked salsa recipe. And there you have it, 3 table sauces already able to be enjoyed with many, many applications. And if you got some chips, perfect. And if not, don't worry about it. Anything you have will be perfect with this. Use it on meats, vegetables, anything. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us for this series of classes, and we hope to see you again in our next series as we partner with SAACA and Slow Food of Southern Arizona, saluting food heroes here in the Tucson area. Thank you.